Hello and welcome back to the Ambassadors of Gaming. I'm one in your army of hosts, Ambassador Michael, and today I'm going to discuss with you another game that we didn't get a chance to review, so it's one of the best games of the generation. We are handpicking some of the best games in the lead up to the fall 2020 of next gen and kind of documenting some stuff we didn't get a chance to go over, more in-depth look at some of the games that came out throughout the generation. Today's game is Cuphead, the wonderful game by Studio MDHR, the hand-drawn 50s aesthetic cartoon, a platformer, 30s, not 50s, whoops. So Cuphead's one of the best games of the generation for multiple reasons. It's one of the most beautiful games this generation. It's one of the most fun games this generation. It's challenging and it's unique. That art style has pretty much gone out from the mainstream culture, and so it is revered in a certain way that we have nostalgia for it, even though a lot of us didn't grow up during that generation. Obviously, I didn't grow up during the 30s. I'm only 20 years old, so not 20, I'm 26, but you get the point. They thought about the way that this game works in such a complex way that it actually reminds me a lot of Mega Man, and kind of how Mega Man bosses are set up. It has that very same sort of side-scrolling, run and gun type combat, and the way that upgrades are kind of spaced out, and the way you can purchase things, and how you can kind of go about dealing with them, the dash, the parry, all this kind of stuff. All of these pieces fit together in such a way that it allows you to play the game, and when you're playing and you get hit or you get damaged, 9 times out of 10 it's not going to be the fault of the game, or it's not going to be something that you couldn't have done as a player. It's usually going to be your fault and you know it. And I think there's a big distinction between that and the types of games we see now with Dark Souls and Sekiro and that kind of stuff, where like unless you know better you're going to get hurt or hit, whereas these games are designed in a way where they're tough. The reaction time window is really small, but it's not impossible. It's not unbearable. And I think there was only one boss, the dragon, where I had to shut off the game and I was like, look, I'm done. I can't anymore. This is pissing me off. But the entirety of it, every new boss gave me that feeling I had as a kid, is like, what's next? And I wanted to see what the new bosses were like, what their forms would be like, what kind of attacks they had, how they would attack, because almost every boss in the game fights differently, so you're not able to use the same tactics. You're not really able to build this kind of OP build where you can just kind of go about, buy these certain types of things and then certain skills and stuff like that, and you're just set for the rest of the game. It doesn't really work like that. You do need to mix up some of your skills and abilities to be able to handle certain things. Certain enemies you'll be able to dodge better than you'll be able to jump or parry. And so this game was definitely worth the while. It took a very long time for them to get out there and really finish it, develop it, and get it out. And I really think it was worth the while, because as of the time when it got originally delayed, everyone was like, oh no, this game's in trouble, blah blah blah. And they were like, no, actually we got a lot of feedback from people saying that the boss fights aren't enough. We're gonna put in some levels, some platforming levels, to kind of beef the game up and give it some more content. And so they took an entire large amount of time to stop what they were doing, finish up the bosses, and go back and add these extra levels in. And at the end of the day, they don't feel like they needed to be there. I think the game probably would have been just fine with boss levels, but the extra levels, they feel good, they feel nice, and they don't feel like an afterthought. They don't feel shoehorned in. And I think that's the biggest thing that the biggest compliment I can give Cuphead is that it's meticulously crafted from start to finish. It's beautiful. It's wonderful to listen to. The music, the sounds, the effects, everything are really great. I love the little snapping of the fingers for the guns, the finger guns. Everything about it is just, it's very cute, it's very fun, it's very lively, and it brings you back to that sort of, early 30s aesthetics before, for animation really kind of kicked into high gear. Disney bought everything, and before voice acting became super important. And so I really think that this is just, it's one of those games that we don't get a lot of them, and I don't think we're gonna get another one for a while. We know we're getting the DLC for Cuphead, but in terms of getting something like this, the only other game that comes close is actually Ori and the Blind Forest, which we did a video on a while back, and obviously the sequel has come out by now. So it's one of those things where these types of games don't come along often, and when they do, sometimes they're not even great. And so we got the culmination of a beautiful game that's fun to play, it's challenging, and it's definitely worth every penny. And I'm glad that it got ported over to Switch, and I think Microsoft would be very smart to secure the sequel to this game if it ever comes, and I hope it will. And if we don't get a Cuphead 2, I would like to see, you know, them do something again in this art style, because it's great. So let us know what you think of Cuphead if you played it. If you haven't, it's available on Xbox One, Windows, Mac, and Switch. And please let us know what you think of it. If you haven't played it and you're thinking about picking it up, of course, let us know. If you don't like Cuphead, let us know why you don't like Cuphead. I would love to hear kind of the opposite argument. So, of course, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. It's greatly appreciated. Anything you do engagement-wise with us is super helpful. It helps the channel and all that. We also have a Patreon if you want to help monetarily. We don't have merch or anything like that at the moment, so we just have the Patreon where you get some exclusive content perks and all that kind of goodies, stuff like that. So, until next time, friends, I'm Ambassador Michael. Thank you for your time. Go play Cuphead.